This is Caregiver Storyteller, produced by CaringKind, the heart of Alzheimer's caregiving. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Caregiver Storyteller, a storytelling podcast about Alzheimer's and dementia caregiving. I'm Dr. Ann Kenny, and I'll be interviewing caregivers to get their stories about Alzheimer's and dementia caregiving. Occasionally, I'll also interview authors, advocates, researchers, healthcare professionals, and people with Alzheimer's and dementia to hear their stories too. So are you ready? Here we go. So I want to welcome Kendra Ray to Caregiver Storyteller. Thank you for coming. Kendra is the Vice President of Research and Innovation in Aging at MJHS in New York City, as well as a Research Assistant Professor at the New York University Grossman School of Medicine. I'm very excited to have you here today. We're
Thank
going to
you for
talk about
having me.
Dr. Ray's work using music for working with individuals living with dementia, and her work using music to help caregivers cope and adapt to their caregiving, care partnering role. And so this should be an interesting and exciting podcast. Dr. Ray, what got you interested in music in the beginning? This is a storyteller podcast, so I would love to hear your story.
Absolutely. So I think like everyone, I loved music as a child. I loved going to concerts. My dad was in the military, so my life was a little bit different maybe from others, but the concerts that we went to were put on by the Air Force. And so we would go to these military band concerts, at these halls, and I always looked forward to it. I always look forward to hearing different types of music than maybe what I might have heard at home. Um, but I do have a strong memory of sitting down with my records, choosing which record I was going to play. It's a Small World After All versus, something else. Um, so I know that my love of music really started, as a kid. But, you know, to become a musician was sort of a shift for me. And I remember being 12 and a half years old, 13 years old, and sitting down with my dad watching television. And he showed me for the first time Jackson State University Marching Band. And they were playing songs that you might hear on the radio. And that completely blew my mind. I just didn't know that that was absolutely possible for someone to do. And I had been going to private school. My sister and my brother had been going to private school. And in those schools, they didn't have band or music. So I begged that summer to switch to public school so that I could, be in a band. And anyway, so I've been playing music ever since.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. So when you're talking about this evolution of, enjoying music and then becoming a musician, how did you decide to merge your love of music with it becoming therapeutic?
Right. So in junior high school, I was in band, and then in high school, I was in creative arts. I'm sorry, a high school that offered creative arts. And but then also I was playing in the college bands, the local college band.
As a high schooler?
As a high schooler,
Oh, so you've always been an
I spent my
overachiever.
entire life. If I was not in math, I was playing music.
You
Um,
are unusual, young lady. You are unusual.
I loved it. I really did. My sister used to hide my flute from me because
Oh.
I would come home and, spend hours practicing because I wanted to be, first chair. I wanted to be the
Mhm.
best. And
You wanted to go to college at 15.
well, I thought that it was kind of normal. I didn't realize that it was abnormal until, recently that kids don't do that. But um, so I thought that I was going to be a nurse
Okay.
because I had not heard of music therapy until 12th grade. I think it was like the beginning of 12th grade. And my guidance counselor at the Performing Arts High School gave me a book of professions. And I got almost to the end. It felt like it was almost to the end. and I saw music therapy for the first time. I had never heard of it. So just to give a little background, we were in Alabama. My dad was stationed in Montgomery, Alabama. So it's that music therapy was just not something that, was noticed. So after that, I did my research and I found some schools that offered music therapy. And one of my teachers helped me. He recorded me playing some songs so that I could apply for a music therapy program. And I applied to Duquesne University in Pittsburgh. I was accepted. I applied more places, but I really wanted to go far away from home. And my dad and my mom dropped me off, and that's how I started my music therapy profession. But yeah, I hadn't heard of it until then, and it was an eye-opening experience, once I got there and was really exposed to music therapy.
Hmm. Well, I mean, maybe someone listening to this podcast will think, oh, I can do that too. What a
Yeah.
great story.
Yeah, I thought, I love science and I
Hmm.
loved music and I loved helping people. So when I saw the description, it was sort of just a perfect combination of everything for me.
So right and left brained at the same time. And
Yes,
I mean, there's really not very many things that have that balance.
right.
It
Yeah.
really is feeding all parts of you.
It
And
really
then
does.
look what you do. You give back so much. So tell us a little bit about what it is you do and the innovations you've made in the world of cognitive loss and caregiving.
So yeah, I worked for many years, maybe for about 13 years as an activities director in nursing homes. I worked in school settings with children with autism. I worked in almost every population until I finally decided that I wanted to work with older adults. And so most of my work was either directing a program and then doing clinical work. So providing music therapy for people who have memory loss and other neurological disorders. But the thing that really made me have a shift was my dad experiencing a stroke and losing his memory when he was in his late 40s. And I had learned a lot, really thought I knew everything until, that happened. And then I realized that there was a whole world of information that I needed to know. I learned a lot from him. And the thing that I I repeat is that he was doing speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, every therapy that you can possibly have to get better. But it wasn't until the evenings when he was able to pull out his 8 tracks, I'm going back now, and his records and his CDs, and play his music where he was able to verbally express himself without hesitation and without looking for the words. And that's where he told us stories. The music reminded him of, his childhood and his time in the military and reminded him to tell us what we need to do with our lives. When I say we, me and my sister. Um, so, you know, it was in my 20s that I really decided to shift completely to working with older adults and learned a lot from him and really realized that I didn't have the resources that I needed from music to help him.
Hmm.
So, had a chance at MJHS in 2008 to develop some music-based interventions where my team and I developed interventions that we knew that we could teach the paid caregivers, specifically the nursing assistants and the nurses, how to implement or add music to their daily care.
Okay.
And so just some examples, we developed or came up with a music-based intervention with bathing. I know a lot of people had been doing that already, but we made something very simple for them to follow. We had music assisted wound care, singing, and some other activities that had to do with dressing. Really, because I found with my dad that the music just eased everything. It eased the tension, it
Hmm.
made the person feel more normal. It eased resistance to care for during the caregiving activities. And I have to make sure I give reference to a nurse who I met. Her name is Eva Gattell.
Hmm.
She came up with something called music therapeutic caregiving,
Okay.
where her techniques have to do with singing during dressing and bathing activities. And I had a chance to go to Sweden, and she took me to several nursing homes and showed me how they were implementing the music assisted singing interventions where they live. And that was sort of life changing as well to see
That's
that intervention. Mhm.
And so tell me more. Tell me more about what what at the scientist in you. What did you see when you were there that you were like, okay, I'm it sounds like a light bulb went off.
It was a light bulb because, I will just say, as a therapist, as a music therapist, and maybe other professions are the same, you feel like, your profession is the best, right? The
Right.
end all be all. It was wonderful to see that she was a nurse
Mm,
and that she was able to teach people who were just, maybe home health aides or family caregivers to use singing. And she did a lot of video analysis and noticed that when she sang or when the caregiver sang, the person's posture changed. They no longer the caregiver no longer needed to give them verbal instructions like button your shirt, lift your hands. A lot of things were just sort of automatic.
okay.
And that was really fascinating to me because, I realized that there are not enough music therapists to go into everyone's home and use music to
Hmm.
help the person, the caregiver, and also the person who might have dementia. And so it really motivated me to come back to my team and say, you know what, let's give let's give our people more tools so that they can be very helpful. And so yeah, yeah.
So specifically, do you said you have you have a framework.
Hmm.
Is it important that the music is something that the individual living with cognitive loss recognizes, or is it the passion from the care partner? Help me understand.
So I know it's a combination of both. Uh,
Okay.
so just to fast forward to 2018, after I had been at MJHS for several years, and after we had created a booklet for our paid caregivers, I decided to work with caregivers who are living at home and develop a curriculum for them. And I can just really briefly to answer your question, in that curriculum, the first thing, the first week, the things that we talk about is what music does your person like?
Okay.
And I just will tell you, I have been exposed to so many types of music, um, amazingly. So yes, it is really important to play music that is familiar to the person that you're caring for.
Okay.
And if you're singing music, a lot of
Mhm.
times I'll encourage the caregivers to sing, a traditional song like You Are My Sunshine or Home on the Range, or something that you don't have to seek or look for the words, something that's sort of just automatic, and that you can do while you're helping a person take care of themselves or helping them to relax before bedtime. So yes, there is a framework, absolutely.
Okay.
There's what kind of music does the person like historically? It's creating list that you can use in times um, so that you don't have to look for it in that moment. You already
Okay.
have your playlist ready. And it's also thinking about another nurse, Linda Gardner, came up with a a theory of individualized music in dementia care. Well, she says that you have to provide music at a certain time.
Oh,
So if you know that, your mom or dad or whoever you're caring for might be agitated at 2:30 p.m., 2 o'clock is when you would start your music intervention, not at the time that it would occur. So
so preempt the
mhm,
the the you don't try to stop an escalation, prevent the escalation.
prevent the escalation.
Okay.
Absolutely. So those are the things that's the sort of the foundation that I rely on is yeah, the timing, the type of music, and you're
Okay.
right, and the having the playlist ready already. But then like you said, you have to have someone who's willing to sing, someone who, is willing to add the music, is willing to be consistent. But it works. It really
Mm,
does. It works.
yeah. It's fun. My mom lived with dementia, and um, there was the calming music, but there was also my mom was a preschool teacher, and
Oh.
she sang Christmas carols all year round. And so for me, when she was having a kind of a day that she couldn't get activated, like just kind of a low day, if I came in and started singing her Christmas carols with her, it would wake her up, it would get her going, and
Wow.
we could do things, and
Mhm.
then I could get her dressed or, so it was
Right.
so funny that my kids started laughing like, "Oh my god, you're singing Christmas carols all year long." I was like, "That's what I was raised on."
Mhm.
But I
Yeah,
knew that would work for her.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. And I really wanna ask you for an example song.
Up on the housetop.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. Yeah, that's a
That was
motivating
like
one.
then we'd
Yeah.
have to, and she was also a preschool teacher, so there was a lot of Little Rabbit Foo-Foo, and like to g
I love
so things
it.
like that. But those were like and she loved show tunes. So again, when you say you've heard a variety of music, I think just in my mom, like
Mhm.
she would go from Christmas carols to preschool jingles to like Oklahoma, just
Yes,
was
yes,
amazing and how much it was a part of her life, and to use it to aid in my care for her, my care with her,
mhm.
was vital, and I didn't even know about you yet.
Yes, I don't think what we're doing is brand new. I think when we were teaching a lot of the nursing assistants to use music, I was so surprised at how many of them were already incorporating music and, singing or
But what you're doing is making it so it'll be a success, and it's
exactly.
not hit and miss. I like,
Right. Yeah.
as a physician, I'm also often telling people it's trial and error until you get a trial and success.
Mhm.
But what you're doing is like, let's get past the errors and get to the
Yes,
successes." And because
absolutely.
enough of this is trial and error, it's so nice to have this scaffolding to make it work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I think I would like to say that the techniques that I teach work on a daily basis, but we do go through, okay, so if that fails, let me give you another idea.
Mhm.
Because every day is different and every individual with dementia is different, right? So
Right.
um, being willing to adapt is important as well. Yeah.
Right. I think that's the key to anything when you work with cognitive loss is you're always adapting and things are always evolving or devolving. But so um, that kind of curiosity has to kind of stay in your care giving
Mm-hmm.
because things are always changing. Um, but again, these are tools that have evidence. I mean, you do research on this. You're proving that it works, and these are strategies that are tried and true. And what I did wasn't tried and true until I tried them.
Mhm.
But
Mm.
I love the shortcutting, and not everybody would have thought of it. It's just that music was such a big part of my mom's life. It helped me to think, what can I do?
Yes.
Um,
Yes, yes.
but if you don't have a music therapist in your life, you might not have stumbled upon this.
Yeah. Yes. I think what's wonderful about the media recently is there are so many people on TikTok or Facebook or, YouTube sharing their stories of how they use music,
Mm,
um, with their parents or how their 90-year-old dad can still play Claire de Lune or so it's really I think the modern technology is really great in showing people evidence that it can be so very helpful. But yeah,
mm.
you're right. Having a framework, especially, if you're dealing with things like agitation, depression, um, and apathy, having a strategy is really important so that you can get through the days and make the days easier for the person you're caring for.
One of the biggest questions people will come to me with is the apathy. Can you speak to that a little bit more? Because I think that is people don't understand apathy necessarily. And
Mhm.
I mean, they know it because they see it, but they don't understand what it is, why it is, and then what strategy would you give to help them through that?
Yeah, I think I have worked in nursing homes for many years now, so I have an opportunity to observe, um, apathy in many people, and it doesn't, affect everyone. And that's a question people ask a lot, is my mom going to be like this? Or no, not necessarily, but if it does happen, um, and what does it look like to me, from my perspective? It might be lack of interest in activities that the person used to be interested in. It might be um, not a lot of movement, not a lot of motivation to do things. It might be a person who might be sleepy more than usual. And someone else might have a different definition, but that's what I've noticed. It might be a lot of, nodding. And so I think it's really important to understand that just because a person has dementia or with depression or agitation or apathy does not mean that they cannot have a meaningful life.
Right.
And music has an amazing way of motivating just by choosing the right song. So it could be a familiar song, but the tempo is very important. So if you have a
Okay.
person who seems like they have a low mood or low motivation, starting music that might be around where you think they are. So you might play a song that is with a slower tempo, and then the next song might be a little bit faster. And then once you see the person being more alert, which for some people it's automatic, I've seen that too, then sort of stay in that realm, you know, um, and I love when it happens when a person just starts, moving in their seat or singing, and I think that's what I notice gives a lot of our nursing assistants motivation. They say, "Oh, well, when I played music, Miss Robin was really, really active yesterday. Let me try that again."
Hmm.
Um, some people might not have that reaction, but rather than holding their head down low, they might open their eyes and or open their mouth, like they um want to sing. So you really have for some people you really have to be very you know, just aware. What was she like before the music and what is she like during the music?
Hmm.
So yeah. Yeah.
And you mentioned a booklet. It would that booklet help people understand the tempos? Like it seems like now with a lot of platforms like Spotify or Pandora, they you can get the tempo, right, of
You can.
and
Um I'm not sure that Spotify, well, maybe you know this better than me, but and I wish that I remember the name of the website, but there are websites where you can put in the um, "You Are My Sunshine," and they'll
Okay.
give you a version with 76 beats per minute versus 86 beats per minute.
Really?
Yes, and
Okay.
the key and everything. Um, I'll see if I can send you the link to that later, but yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
And then I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay, there's a way to find music that is familiar, but might be a little bit slower or a little bit faster depending on
Okay.
what you need. Mhm.
Depending on
Yes.
your needs.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. Ooh, that's exciting.
Yes, it is, it is. Technology is great.
Yeah.
Music is great.
Okay. What if you had to give so we're talking about how it can help the person living with cognitive changes to ease their anxiety, to ease their apathy. What about the caregiver? How
Yes.
I think one of the reasons I love your work so much is because it helps both the caregiver and the person living with cognitive loss.
Right. Yeah. I was this morning I was thinking a lot about that and the thing that is fresh on my mind is using music during shower time and how it helps the caregiver. Um, Shower time is not easy, for a lot of people who have memory loss or types of dementia, but adding music before, as
Okay.
you're prepping to get into the shower, during, maybe singing instead of the recorded or a combination of both, and after. That's where I've had people tell me, the CNA say, "Kendra, that was wonderful. Oh, Kendra, that was wonderful." She really enjoyed the shower this time. She didn't resist going into the room because sometimes it's really hard just to get into the shower room or, to the bathroom if that's what you're trying to do. So I would say using music as a technique for caregiving can help the caregiver. That's what we've noticed in our research that um, it actually helps to reduce caregiver burden and caregiver distress.
Okay.
And if the symptoms of dementia, like agitation or irritability, or a person having difficulty sleep, are reduced, then that in turn reduces caregiver distress, and music
Okay.
music can help with that. But on a personal level, right? Using music as a caregiver, I think the best time to use it is before bed. So
Okay.
in combination with deep breathing exercises or grounding exercises, putting on music at least 5 to 15 minutes before bed can help you have a restful sleep. And I can tell you that it works because I use it almost every day for myself. But I,
Good.
I I usually tell people to Google or go to YouTube and type in guided relaxation and music, or guided music for and relaxation, or progressive relaxation and music. Those are really, really helpful, I think, for the caregiver.
Okay. So it is it more like spa music? Is that the kind of music you're talking about, or
It's
is
sort
it
of
personally chosen music yet again?
I think I I think that in some cases, what you're talking about, spa music, is
Yeah.
actually it's not personalized, but it does have a physiological effect on a person because of the tempo of the music and because there are no words or no distractions. It allows for your brain and your body to relax.
To
Yeah,
let go.
to let
Yeah.
go. And the breathing, in
To use it
concert
in
with the
combination.
music, yeah, really allows for you to sort of come down from
Yeah.
any anxiety or stress.
I I agree. I recommend to a lot of people progressive relaxation, as you talk about, because there's also that um, building the tension, and then
Yes,
for
there
people
is.
who don't know what progressive relaxation is that it's actually to start at some part of your body, usually your feet, and start to tense things, and then relax them, and then move up and tense and relax, and people people who don't wanna do meditations because they're too woo-woo, or too, like,
Yes.
it seems weird, but
Yes.
just tensing and relaxing is things we do all the time,
Right.
and so it's approachable for many people, and it is amazing how, like, doing that balance of tension and relaxing, most we don't do it naturally in most parts of our lives, but it because you have to do that active tensing, you have to untense the parts that you don't know you're unconsciously tensing, and it's that little magic key that can work, and I love that in combination with music that is hitting so many parts of your brain. I mean, I
Mhm.
guess that's what we know is that music is perceived not in just one area, but every area, so it's soothing in so many areas, um, then with that progressive relaxation. People who have told me that they have terrible insomnia or
Mhm.
need to get off a medication or something, this is a nice bridge, or people who are in very stressful situations, like being a care partner to someone who has a progressive disorder. It's very, very powerful.
Yeah, it is for sure.
So we'll put something about that in the show notes as well, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some music therapists who have some really great videos on YouTube that I
Okay.
can send you the links to.
That would be awesome. Thank you. Um, if you had one piece of advice for a care partner, what would it be?
I think know that the person that you're caring for is still there and
Okay.
use music to to get to them, to find them. Yeah,
Okay.
to bring them back into the moment with you.
Okay.
You know, whether it's relaxing music or upbeat music or, dance music, figure out that piece that brings them back to the moment with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tapping into that little bit of sense of play, like the singing in the shower, the dancing in the kitchen, the joy of running through the sprinkler.
Yeah.
Right? That I mean, I think of all
Yeah.
those times as the best parts of I mean, day to day can be hard, but day to day can be joyful.
It can be.
And so, like, kind of look for those
Look for those moments.
pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because they are there. They're definitely there.
yeah.
And a lot of times, because of the dementia, person might be preoccupied with their shirt or, repeated questions but finding that piece of music that gets their attention and makes them want to sing or makes them want to dance or makes them want to be quiet and share a memory with you.
Mhm.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
playful, but it is actually making the person in the here and now with you.
Mhm.
And those are the special moments. Yeah, those are the moments of paradise.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to love those moments, and it's it's it made them all the sweeter because I was brought back to the present as well.
Mhm.
I
Wow.
wasn't worrying that I had just lost my patience or that I didn't know how I was gonna get dinner for my kids and care for my mother, like, it brought me to just connecting with my mom heart to heart. It got me out of my head and into my heart and connecting with her again, and it was that, like you said, those moments are precious. Yeah, and then the more of those you can string together,
Yes. Yeah.
like you said, that's easier it is to be a care partner
Mhm. Mhm.
because we do, as humans, beat ourselves up for things in the past or things in the future, but in the moment, we don't do that so much. Yeah,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
so, huh, um is there anything else you'd like to share with us before I let you go back to your job of caring for the world of people living with cognitive loss and their care partners?
The thing that I hope for people is that when you see a music therapy study or a music-based intervention study, join.
Oh, I love
Join.
that.
Yeah. Because maybe you feel like, oh, I can't do that, or, that sounds good, but I don't know. But if you see something that's available and you can go to Trial Match or clinicaltrials.gov and look up music studies in your area, that's something that you can do. Or if you feel like, you know what, studies aren't for me, I need a music therapist, cbmt.org. All you have to
See,
do is type in your zip code and you can find a music therapist who's near you. So,
okay. And so the side effects for music therapy, what are they?
love,
Okay. Joy.
joy, laughter, humor, dancing. I don't know.
So
Yeah.
really none when you talk about things like when I offer treatments, they're usually not as
Mhm.
benign or as joyful.
Right.
I
Some
love
people
that.
might tear up because it reminds them of a special memory, but that's about it.
But that to help you process grief is not a bad thing,
Yes,
right? I
right.
mean, we have crying can cleanse
It can cleanse. Absolutely.
and being
And
bittersweet is not a terrible emotion. It is one emotion that most of us actually are happy to feel because it's the bitter and the sweet.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. Hmm. So that's great. So get involved if you can. What about people who say, I can't sing? What would you tell them?
Oh, I hear that all the time.
I bet you do.
I hear that all the time. You know what? I used to think that I was a great singer, and then I had surgery, and I lost my voice, and now I feel like I can't, I'm not the singer I used to be. There's a study called The Singer or the Singing. I always tell people to look it up. There's Felicity Baker in Australia found that it doesn't matter whether you're a music therapist, a caregiver, a child, doesn't matter. Singing is effective. It's an effective intervention for a person with memory loss. And the fact that you are being vulnerable enough to share your voice with the person that you're caring for makes them pay attention, trust
Mhm.
me.
Okay.
Whether it's a good sound or a bad sound that comes out of your mouth, it gets their attention, and a lot of times people, just automatically start singing with you.
Hmm.
But then you don't have to worry about, do I sound right? What is your intention?
Okay.
Is your intention to help, in this moment? If it is, start singing a song. Start singing Home on the Range, something, simple that you don't have to think about. I said that earlier, but yeah, don't worry about your voice, and I always say, if I can sing, if I'm singing, let's all sing.
I'm going to tell a little story because this is a storytelling podcast. I have a friend whose father was actually the singing coach to Marilyn Monroe.
Oh,
Um, yeah, back in the day, and I guess she didn't have a very good singing voice, and he told her to whisper the
ah,
song so that where
nice.
she
I love
whispered
that.
"Happy Birthday" to John Kennedy, um, was his idea, and
Okay.
she's famous for that
She
now.
is, and no one
So
is saying, "Oh, that doesn't sound good." No one says that.
nobody said that, did they? No. So whisper, like, start with just a whisper,
Yeah,
according
yeah,
to, my friend Dara's father, um, and you could have something powerful and
yeah,
become famous like Marilyn
yeah.
Monroe.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that so much. Yeah, no one says, "Oh." No, they were like,
No.
"Oh, you remember," you know?
She became I mean, that helped catapult her. I mean,
Mhm.
I know she was already famous, but
But everyone remembers that moment.
mhm,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
and the song.
yeah.
That's really, really great advice.
So thank you for all your advice today, and thank you for all the work you do. I'm so happy that you're helping so many people, so many families. And thank you for coming here so we can expand that help to even more people.
Thanks
And
for having
we'll
me.
put how to get a hold of you in the show notes.
Okay.
And we'll also put a lot of your suggestions, getting involved in research, some of the websites. I'll follow up with you to get those. Um,
I
and
appreciate this opportunity so much. I really do.
it's
Yeah.
always so fun to see you.
You as well.
Thank you for listening. If you'd like to share your story, go to caringkindnyc.org/podcast. Maybe we'll use your story on the show. We'd love to hear from you. Please subscribe to this podcast and leave some glowing feedback. We love positive reinforcement. I'm Dr. Ann Kenny, and you're listening to Caregiver Storyteller, produced by CaringKind,